In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to work out areas of different shapes. We'll be looking at how to use formulas to work out the areas of squares and rectangles and triangles. When you start working out area for the very first time, you tend to get some squared paper. And on your squared paper, you'll have your set of squares and there'll be a shape. And the shape isn't likely to fit exactly into your space. So if you're presented with something like that, it's a very irregular shape, and the best thing you can do is really start to count the squares that are complete. So my complete squares, I'm going to put a tick in. I would say that this is a complete square, this is a complete square, this is a complete square, and so is this one. So at the moment, this shape has got 4 full squares. I then need to decide what to do with what's left over. So if I look at this square here, it's very nearly full. It's missing 2 tiny sections, but it's close enough for me to say, actually, I'm going to call that one a full square. This one next to it only includes a tiny part, so that one is not going to be counted. The next 2, if I look at those together, so if I look at these 2 together, if I did put those both together and added in this tiny section down here, then I'd be getting close to creating a full square. So for those 3 sections here, I'm just going to count them as 1. So I'd mark it by saying, not including that one, will include that one, not including that one. To keep on going round of our squares, this section here is almost half a square. And this one are similar. They don't quite make it to being half a square each, but all of those together would make another square. So again, I'm going to say that one counts, and those 2 count in the previous one. Coming up the side, I would say I can put those 2 together, and that's going to give me 1 square. So I'll give one a tick, and I'll give one a cross. And then finally, the last 2 squares I've got to look at, I would say, well, if I take this section and if I popped it onto this one, it's going to be close enough to a full square. So I'm going to say, yes, we'll count that one, and we won't count that one. Once I've highlighted all the ticks that I've got, I just need to count the ticks up to work out my area. So now in total I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So roughly, I would say that was 9 centimetres squared. This method may seem very childish, but it is an important method to remember if you're faced with an irregular shape, or if you're asked to work out the area of an island, for example, then you may well have to go back to counting squares and to including half squares and dismissing some of the half squares. So don't forget about it just yet. We very quickly move on to using formulas to work out areas. In this example, we're going to work out the area of a square. I'm going to say that the side length of my square is 6 centimetres. The formula for working out the area of a square is area equals the length times by the width. When you're dealing with a square, you're very often only given one measurement. That's because on a square, all of your sides are exactly equal. And so you only need one. So in this example, my area would be area equals length times width, which equals 6 times by 6, which gives me 36 centimetres squared. Remember that this centimetre squared is very important, and that our unit of measurement is important to get that correct. It isn't always going to be centimetres squared. It could be metres squared, it could be kilometres, it could be millimetres. You need to check on the diagram and make it match with your answer. It's important you don't get confused between the area of a shape and its perimeter. The perimeter means the distance all the way around the edge of the shape. And so to work out the perimeter, we need to do 2 times the length and 2 times the width, which is 2 length plus 2 times the width. So 2 times the length in this case is 12, and 2 times the width in this case is 12, and so when we add it together, we have got 24 centimetres. Please note that we don't have the square sign here because perimeter is distance around the edge. That's measured in centimetres or in metres or in kilometres, not in square centimetres. So to work out the area of a rectangle, it's exactly the same. You use the same formula. Area equals the length times the width. So this time our length is 8 and our width is 4. And 8 times 4 is 32 centimetres squared. To work out the perimeter on this shape, we need to have 2 lengths and we need to add those to 2 widths. Remember that when you're working out the area, you need to be multiplying, but when you're working out the perimeter, you need to be adding. So 2 lengths is the distance across here, and it's also the distance across here. So 2 eighths are 16. And onto that, we need to add the other direction. So we've got this 4 here and another 4 over here, which is going to give me a total of 8. So I've now got 16 plus 8, which gives me a total of 24 centimetres. Here are 2 more examples. So to work out the area of the first shape, I need my area equals my length multiplied by my width. The length this time is 12 and the width is 2. That gives me an area of 24 centimetres squared. Also on this shape, the perimeter is 2 lengths adding on 2 widths. 1 for each, the top and the bottom. So in this case, 2 lengths adds up to 24, and we need to add on to that 2 widths, which becomes 4, which means that our perimeter for this is 28 centimetres. On this rectangle, our area equals our length multiplied by the width, and the area is 9 multiplied by 8, which gives me a total of 72 centimetres squared. The perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths, so 2 lengths is going to be 18 and 2 widths is going to be 16. And that gives us a perimeter of 34 centimetres. Compound area is when a shape is made up out of 2 rectangles, or at least 2 shapes put together. Here's an example. When you're dealing with compound area, you need to make sure that you can split the shape into sections which are going to make sense. In this example, I'm going to split this rectangle into 2 by having a section which comes down here. I'm going to call this one area A, I'm going to call this one area B. I then just need to work out the areas of both sections just as I was doing. So my area equals length times width, and so that's going to be 6 by 7, which is going to be 42 centimetres squared. For area B, I'm still going to have my area equals my length by my width. It's going to be 3 by 5, and that's going to give me 15 centimetres squared. To get my final total area, I need to take the area of A and I need to add it to the area of B. So I've got my total area is 42 plus 15, which gives me a final amount of 57 centimetres squared. Here's another way of working out the same question. Instead of splitting my shape into 2, I could take the whole of the outside shape and I could include that section there. To work this one out, I would need to work out this entire length. So to do that, I would need to add the 6 centimetres and the 3 centimetres together. That's going to give me a length of 9 all the way across the top and the bottom. I already know how long this side is because it tells me. So this side is going to be 7. So I could start off by working out the area of the whole shape, which would be length times width, which would be 9 times by 7, and that would equal 63 centimetres squared. However, I now need to take out this section, which I've shaded in red, and I need to work out the dimensions of that section to be able to do it. I know the bottom one already because the diagram tells me. I know that one is 3 centimetres. I can work out the other one by looking at the length of the side here, which is 7, and here, which is 5. So if I do the 7, and if I take away the 5, I know that's going to give me a length of 2 centimetres, which is left. So the area of the red section is area equals length times by width, and it would be 2 multiplied by 3, which would give me an area of 6 centimetres squared. To work out my total area, I then need to do 63, and I need to take away the 6. That's going to give me a final total area of 57 centimetres squared. So we've looked at 2 ways of working out compound area. One was to split it into 2 shapes, call one A and one B, and add them together. The other one was to work out the area of the whole shape all the way around, and then to subtract the shaded red section at the top. Both of those ways gave us the same answer. Here's another example of compound area. This shape has been split into 3 sections, into area A, area B and area C. On this example, I would work out area A, which is length times width, which is 6 multiplied by 8, which is 48 metres squared. I would then work out area B, and area B is length times width, and that is 3 multiplied by 5, which gives me 15 metres squared. Finally, I'd work out area C, and on area C, it's still length times width, and I've got one of my dimensions, which is here, which is my 4 metres, so I can put my 4 down straight away, but I need to multiply that, and I need to multiply that by this 2, but I also need this dimension here as well. To find this dimension, I need to go back and look at shape B. I can see that it's 3 metres, so I need to add these 3 metres onto these 2 to give me my height of 5. So I've got 4 by 5, which gives me 20 metres squared. To find my total area, I would need to take my 48 and my 15 and my 20, add them all together to give me a final total of 83 metres squared. So in this video, we have looked at ways of finding the area and perimeter of a square, finding the area and perimeter of a rectangle. We've looked at 2 different ways to work out compound area. One by splitting the shape into sections, calling them A and B or C, and adding them all together. Or secondly, by working out the area of the whole shape and then subtracting any sections that I didn't need. The other skill we've looked at in this video is finding the missing dimensions on a diagram so that you can work out the right areas and the right perimeters. Remember, area is always measured in centimetres squared or metres squared or kilometres squared, and that perimeter is just a distance, so it's just centimetres, metres or kilometres. Make sure that you understand all of these skills. If not, go back and watch some more.